Just one thing I wanted to emphasize here is we are getting into the core of Cho, the heart of Cho practice, what the Cho practice is about, and so to speak. And there are many ways to talk about that. Then one way to talk about it is resting in the true nature, resting the nature of reality, resting in Dipa, and maintain it, sustain it. So that's the kind of important part, because there are lots of misunderstanding at that time when Kongtrul was around the 19th century. Because in his time, maybe nowadays too, we kind of inherit the Tibetan custom. So, so much focusing on the feeding a demon part, feeding and demon, dismantling the body, chopping, and making food. Of course, that's an important part of it. But the heart of the essence of the Cho practice is this knowing the reality, or knowing the nature of mind, all the same thing, nature of mind, nature of reality, and knowing one's own nature, who we are, who we truly are, or your true authenticity, if I use that term. And maintain it, rest it and maintain it. So that's the core of the practice. Then from there, everything starts. So that's why it's become the union of emptiness and compassion. So if we just rest, if those of you, I don't know your realization, but if you are able to be able to rest in that state and maintain it, then you don't need to do anything. No, you just there and then get accustomed to it, just stay. And then rest of the or the practice, feeding demons and so forth, the maybe may not need it, because it's basically you are awakened into your true nature, right? But I don't know about you, but some of us, many of us, like myself included, we are not able to rest there and maintain it. So we have lots of skillful means and practice which Buddha taught. So we have a variety of method to cut through if we cannot do rest there. And also we are kind of in the West nowadays, we kind of inherit in that kind of slowly as our practice mature, those misunderstanding kind of started to dissolve, but at the same time, it's nice to be very clear about what we are doing here. So, Cho is the skillful means and a powerful method. And one of the lineage masters, lineage master said it's like a jet plane going to the, using the jet plane to awakening, to enlightenment, instead of going very slow walking. Because we have these thick habitual patterns, right? Habitual patterns that prevent us to resting there. So in Vajrayana, we have many kind of practice, Idam practices. And the Cho is one way to cut through the these habitual patterns. So for example, this body offering is another chance. I can say this is the quote from the Jamgon Kongtrul, I think. If extracting the mind from the body did not totally sever attachment to it, the subsequent sharing of it, which is the subsequent attainment, it's not the main, just afterward. This of the body offering, subsequent share of it with spirit offers another opportunity to cut through the attachment of the body. Right, that's the this way of thinking is kind of important as well. Because sometimes we kind of get really involved in this offering the body part, and then lost underlying this mother, you are the great mother, and the resting in there. That's the important. So without that, just kind of chopping up the body and offering and yeah, not maybe may not be a true practice. So I think that's what the Jangon Kontu point. Back those days, even nowadays, I don't know other traditions, and sometimes a little bit of exorcism, kind of like a pair, very strong pair, and then try to heal. Really emphasis on the healing or the get rid of demons and from this, for example, person who has some kind of a disease or issues, and then with that motivation, of course, with compassion, based on compassion, but at the same time, if that is emphasized without this true nature part, interesting. We have to work with this paradox in Vajrayana, especially in general Buddhism. This truth, like two truths, like apparent truth and genuine truth, or the truth of how things exist, truth of how things appears. So both are not contradicted. So empty and yet appears. So that's why Chu is a combination or the method for developing that view. Although without the view, Chu practice is not considered to be a genuine Chu practice. Because I don't know in the Kagyu or those of you who practice in Dzogchen, Chu is considered to be the enhancing the view, no? Practice or method for enhancing or deepening the, your view, which meaning once you realize it, or the glimpse of the Ripa, for example, then Chu is the, then we kind of deepen and getting used to it, then challenging yourself, and then going to those fearful place, then bring up more, and then just cut through every bit of it, habitual patterns. So in that sense, very advanced practice, if we think that way. And I think usually my understanding is that Chu has been considered to be that enhancing or deepening the view. Okay. Having said that, of course, Joe has many aspects. Then we can use Cho practice to develop compassion and bodhicittas and the emptiness and renunciations. Basically, Cho practice has everything. If you practice Cho, I think you don't need any other practice, I think. And also, if you can rest, again, I'm repeating myself, if you can rest in Ripa, and you don't need to do it. So, yeah. So usually we're just gonna start with resting mind a little bit. When we say resting mind, usually, I don't know about you, for us, for me, if you're like me, resting just in shamatha or the alaya, vijnana, like a stuck. We usually rest in the stuck. But even them, as much as possible, we kind of rest in the true nature. whatever realization, whatever understanding you have, and whatever insight you have, just to do your best to rest in that.